This is a neighborhood, not a battlefield. That's what she said to me, while standing on my lawn with my flag in her hands. And then she broke it, snapped it right in half like she was making a point. Maybe she thought it made her powerful. Maybe she thought no one would stop her. Maybe she didn't realize I was standing right there. Or maybe she didn't care. But that sound, the crack of fiberglass, echoed louder in my chest than she ever could have imagined. I moved to Elkhorn Ridge because it was quiet, simple. After 22 years in the service, 3 tours, 2 surgeries, 1 medical discharge, I didn't want trouble. I wanted peace. I wanted a porch, a grill, and a place to hang the flag I carried with me through the Korengal Valley. That's all. Not even a fancy one. Just a 6-foot white fiberglass pole and a slightly faded American flag mounted clean on the edge of my porch, not blocking the sidewalk, not flapping too close to the neighbor's fence. I even read the HOA manual. All 48 pages, 3 times. No rule against flags, only one about height. And I was under the limit, by 4 inches. But then she showed up. It started with a note, folded perfectly, slipped under my doormat. That the flag you are flying does not conform to Elkhorn Ridge aesthetics. Remove within 72 hours or face a violation fine. HOA President Karen M. Beckett. I thought it was a prank. No signature, no official seal, just plain printer paper and passive-aggressive energy. I laughed, tossed it in the trash, and put the flag back up with a fresh clip. The next day she came in person. Her posture was perfect. Her smile was surgical. A visor, pastel blouse, clipboard like a badge. She didn't say hello, just pointed. You didn't remove the flag. I stepped out onto the porch, calm, friendly. Didn't plan to, I replied. I checked the regs. It's legal. She scoffed, tapped the clipboard. It's not about legality. It's about standards. You're disturbing visual harmony. I stared at her. Had to resist the urge to chuckle. Ma'am, with all due respect, that flag's been to war. It's not going anywhere. She blinked, like I'd spoken in Morse code. We'll see, she said, spinning on one Nike heel. I thought that was the end. It wasn't. It was only the first shot. The next morning, I went out to retrieve the mail. Flag was gone. Not fallen, gone. And the pole snapped in half, lying across my steps like a broken bone. Security cam footage? Crystal clear. Karen Beckett, 7:14 a.m. Walking calmly up my path, she pulled the flag free, looked around, and then, like she was breaking a stick over her knee, snap. She didn't even flinch. Just tucked it under her arm and walked off like she was returning a library book. I sat back, watched it twice, heart slow, hands steady. Then I picked up my phone. 911, what's your emergency? No, I need to report destruction of property, and possibly a federal offense. End of chapter 1. Do you want me to continue to chapter 2? Ban Janoi. Yes, ChatGPT Janoi. Great. Sir, you're saying she broke your flagpole? The officer squinted at the footage on my phone. With her bare hands, I nodded. And you're saying this flag has been to combat zones? I nodded again. Okay, he said, exhaling slowly. That's a hell of a detail. Officer J. Marshall was young, maybe 30, polite, sharp. Didn't condescend, didn't brush me off. Which was good, because I wasn't in the mood to be patronized. He watched the security footage a 3rd time. You mind emailing me this? Already did, I said. Also sent it to my VA rep, and the HOA board, and the Department of Veterans Affairs. He raised an eyebrow. Sir, you're not playing around. Neither is she. Karen Beckett was back at it by 10 a.m. I watched her from my porch. Same outfit, different clipboard. She stopped 4 houses down, argued with Mrs. Lynn about some unsanctioned tulips, pointed at someone else's bird feeder, scribbled on a notepad like a mall cop grading humanity. I waited until she passed my house again. Then I stood. Karen, I called. She turned, her eyes squinted behind designer sunglasses. You're trespassing, I said evenly. And you destroyed a federally protected item. She tilted her head. It's just a flag. Just a flag. You broke a pole holding the American flag, Karen. Because it was violating code. Page 19, Section 4B. Fixtures must conform to approved HOA visuals. There's a federal statute, I replied, called the Freedom to Display the American Flag Act of 2005. She blinked. I continued. You can't restrict flag display on residential property. It's a federal law. But that's only if it's on a national holiday? Nope, 365 days. I looked it up while filing the police report. You should too. Her lips tightened. She turned, walked away fast, but not before muttering, People like you think patriotism gives you a pass. I didn't follow her. Didn't need to. Officer Marshall had filed the report. The HOA board had already called an emergency session. By 4:00 p.m., the thread on the neighborhood Facebook group had 168 comments. Lines were being drawn. Half of them were defending her. The other half? No, wait, he's a vet? And that flag went to Afghanistan? And I don't even like flags, but this is messed up. Then came the twist. At 6:37 p.m., I received a formal violation notice, stamped, signed, HOA official seal. Flag reinstallation prohibited pending review. Section 4B. I laughed out loud. Then I grabbed my drill, my backup pole, and a second flag I kept rolled up in my military trunk. Mounted it, right back where it had been. A little straighter this time. Karen showed up again at 7:02 p.m. She didn't come to talk. One of them, Tom Adler, who usually kept to himself, looked like he was regretting life. The other, Patricia Griggs, stood rigid, arms folded. "You've been served," Karen said. "Already read it," I said, still flying it. She stepped closer. "You're in violation. This will escalate." "It already has," I said, and just so we're clear, I pointed to my chest, where my old service badge still rested on a shelf beside the door. "This isn't about a pole." What is it then?" she snapped. "Respect." "I don't owe you that," Tom finally spoke. "Karen, maybe we should de-escalate." "No, no de-escalation," she barked. "If he wants a war, he can have one." Bad choice of words. I stepped forward. Calm. "You're standing on my property." She froze. "Please leave." Leave, Karen, before you trespass again." The next day, the police came back. Not to my house, to hers. Because what she didn't know was that the fiberglass pole she broke, it was government issued, stamped with a serial number, registered to a combat veteran, covered under the Stolen Valor Act, destruction of service-issued property. It's not just vandalism, it's federal. "Sir, do you recognize this object?" I held the broken pole in my hands. It still smelled faintly of the Afghan dust it had absorbed over 3 deployments. I turned it slowly, revealing the embossed seal, half-scratched, still unmistakable. "Yeah," I said quietly, "that's mine." "And it's government property?" "Issued with my last redeployment. VA certified." The officer nodded, tucked it back into the evidence bag. That's all we needed to confirm. The knock on Karen Beckett's door came at 9:42 a.m. 2 plainclothes officers, 1 clipboard, 1 badge, 1 hand on the cuffs. Neighbors peeked through blinds, drawn like curtains on a suburban stage. She opened the door with her usual snap. Didn't take long for the voice to rise. "You're seriously here because of a flagpole?" "No, ma'am," one officer replied calmly. "We're here because of destruction of government-issued property, interference with federally protected symbolism, and potential violation of the Flag Protection Act." "That law's not even enforceable," she shrieked. That's what court's for." The cuffs clicked. She gasped, and the first phone cameras came out. I didn't watch it happen live. Didn't want to. I was down at the VFW, having coffee with Don Harper, a Navy guy who lost a leg in Fallujah and gained a wicked sense of humor to replace it. "So you got the HOA queen in bracelets?" He grinned. "Damn, man, you really brought the fireworks early this year." That wasn't the plan. I bet it felt good, though. I didn't answer. Just took a slow sip of my coffee. Karen was out on bail by noon. $5,000 bond, paid in full. She posted on Facebook almost instantly. A wall of text drenched in outrage. No, I was enforcing neighborhood standards. This is political. This is an attack on community order. This is what happens when veterans think they're above the law. That last line didn't go over well. 3 hours later, my phone rang. Local news. Channel 7, anchor voice, smooth as glass. "We'd love to interview you." "I don't want the attention." "No, we understand. But your story, it's resonating. Would you reconsider if we focus on the legal aspect, the veterans' rights angle?" I paused. Then I said, "Only if you film it right under the flag." By 5:00 p.m., there were 2 camera crews on my lawn. 3 neighbors brought lawn chairs. Someone made popcorn. Karen's house 2 lots down stayed dark. Curtains shut tight, no clipboard in sight. The anchor did her bit, nodding solemnly while I explained the law. The freedom to display the American Flag Act of 2005. The VA property register. The recorded video evidence. "So, Mr. Hale," she asked, "how do you respond to Karen Beckett's claim that you're abusing veteran status to intimidate neighbors?" I looked into the lens. This isn't about intimidation. It's about boundaries, legal ones, and moral ones. Pause. She crossed both. Later that night, I found a note taped to my mailbox. I served in the Gulf. She fined me $300 for my wheelchair ramp. Thank you. No name, just a neighbor. It wasn't alone. 3 more notes followed, 2 emails. One text from a man who'd moved away last year. The next morning, I woke to find my flag standing tall. Not alone. 4 other houses on the block had put theirs up overnight. Some big, some tattered, some faded. But all proud. Karen's house? Still dark. Still silent. Until the emergency HOA meeting notice dropped. Community-wide vote on interim president due to temporary legal absence of current president. They didn't say her name. They didn't need to. The HOA was bleeding, and the neighbors smelled smoke. That night, Tom Adler knocked on my door, clipboard in hand, but this time without the usual smugness. I just wanted to say, "You were right," he said. "We enabled her for years." "You can fix it," I said. He nodded. "That's the plan. That this meeting will come to order." The words dropped like a gavel, but it was the silence that made them sharp. Folding chairs creaked. Coffee cups were held with 2 hands. Nobody looked at Karen. She sat alone, front row, blazer too tight, lips too thin. Her hair was perfect, but nothing else was. The HOA clubhouse wasn't designed for tension. It had too many soft colors, beige walls, inspirational quotes about community. But tonight the air was heavy. The agenda was short. 1. Address misconduct of current HOA president. Vote for interim replacement. 3. Public comments. That was it, but that was all it needed to be. Tom Adler took the floor. Normally, he stumbled through words like they were loose bricks. Tonight, he was steady. In light of recent events and the pending investigation into acts committed by HOA President Karen Beckett, I am moving to suspend her duties effective immediately. Karen shot to her feet. "You don't have the authority." Tom didn't flinch. "Actually, we do. Article 6, Paragraph 3, any board member under legal review may be temporarily removed by majority vote." Karen spun toward the crowd. "This is political theater." No one spoke. She turned again. "This is a witch hunt. I was enforcing the rules." That's when I stood. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't glare. I just walked forward, stopped 3 feet from her seat, and held out something. My flag. Folded, tight, triangular, crisp. The way it's folded for funerals, the way it's folded for the fallen. I set it gently on the table. "This is what you broke." She stared at it. Didn't touch it. Didn't say anything. I turned to the room. I'm not here for revenge. I'm here because for years, this board has enabled one person to abuse power, to hurt families, to control neighbors. And now she's facing real consequences. Not because she broke my flag, but because she finally broke the wrong law. I paused. But let's be honest, she's been breaking something in all of us for a long time. There was a murmur, shuffling. Tom cleared his throat. All in favor of suspension? Hands went up, one after another. 15, 18, 22. Karen turned to Patricia, her closest ally. Patricia's hand was raised. Karen's mouth opened, closed, opened again, but no words came out. "Motion passed," Tom said. He tapped the gavel, just once. She didn't leave right away. She sat back down, quiet, small, like someone watching the credits roll on a movie where they were once the star. Then finally she stood and walked out without a word. No clipboard, no glare, just the sound of her heels and the air shifting. After the meeting, people lingered. I didn't expect what happened next. A woman came up, tears in her eyes. She fined me $200 for planting sunflowers in a raised bed. A man in his 70s stepped forward. She made me repaint my garage 3 times, said the beige was too beige. One by one they spoke. Stories, scars, fines, fear, all from the same source. All finally said out loud. That night I sat on my porch, flag back on the pole, upright, centered, lit from below. Not because I was stubborn, because it was mine. At 11:17 p.m., headlights rolled slowly past my house. A luxury SUV. Karen, but she looked. I didn't wave. She didn't either. She disappeared down the block. A queen without a crown. The next morning, the local paper printed a headline. AHOA president suspended after vandalizing veterans' flagpole. Small font, no photo, but it was enough. The real story? It wasn't about a flag. It was about control, respect, boundaries, and what happens when the quiet man on the porch finally stands up. Do you intend to press full charges? The assistant district attorney asked it casually, pen hovering. But that question felt heavier than any gavel. I looked down at the photo in the file. My flagpole snapped clean. And then at the video freeze frame. Karen's face mid-stride, flag under arm like a trophy. Yes, I said, I do. Understood, and he replied, we'll proceed. The preliminary hearing was quiet. No cameras, no reporters, just cold air and consequence. Karen sat beside her attorney, stiff and powdered, not a wrinkle out of place, but her eyes darted. To the judge, to me, to the clerk, she didn't speak. Her lawyer entered the plea, not guilty. But when the judge reviewed the evidence, the video, the federal tag on the pole, the vandalism report, the Freedom to Display Act, her lawyer leaned in and whispered. She flinched, then nodded. A second plea followed. Your Honor, the defendant would like to amend her plea to no contest. The gavel struck. The sentence wasn't severe. It didn't need to be. 30 days community service, $2,500 fine, mandatory civics education, and a written apology publicly posted on the HOA website. She tried to negotiate the last part. The judge didn't budge. When the letter went live, the neighborhood was buzzing. It was titled simply, A Formal Apology from Karen Beckett, but it read like a confession. She acknowledged unjustified actions, misinterpretation of HOA authority, and, my favorite line, I did not know the flagpole was government-issued, but I should have respected it regardless. The comments were swift. Some called it fake, some called it overdue. But no one called it wrong. That weekend, the HOA held a community potluck. It was the first time in years people actually showed up smiling. Kids ran barefoot. Dogs barked. Someone brought beer, even though the HOA handbook technically said no alcohol. No one cared. Patricia, now interim president, raised her plastic cup and toasted, to neighbors who stand up, to flags that stay up. Everyone clapped. I stayed near the back, didn't need applause. Don Harper brought me a bratwurst and a grin. You realize you became a neighborhood legend, right? Unintentionally. Still counts. As the sun dipped, I walked back home. Flag waving lightly in the evening breeze. No more notes, no more fines, just air, sky, peace. And then footsteps behind me. Karen. No clipboard, no sunglasses, just her holding something. A replacement flagpole. Unboxed, still wrapped in plastic. She stood there awkwardly. I figured it should come from me, she said. It's not necessary, I replied. Maybe not, she said, eyes tired, voice quieter than I'd ever heard it. But it's right. I took it, nodded once. She turned and walked away. I didn't tell anyone about that moment. Some things don't need to be posted. Some things just are. I mounted the new pole that night, side by side with the old one. The old scarred pole stayed too, because scars matter. They remind us where we've been, what we've endured, and what we'll never let happen again. The flag flies higher now, not because it's on a taller pole, because everyone looks up when they pass it, and no one dares touch it, because they all know the truth now. The flag stays up.